Hey everybody, it's Justin, your guide into the other side. I want to get started with this video for the entry-level players that are just looking to dip their toes into other side. They want to experience the full gamut of gameplay that they can, whether that's farming, whether that's hunting, whether they can play at a high level on the leaderboard and use those rewards to evolve their Maras into Coda Maras. So again, this is just a gameplay guide. It's not to predict the price of other deeds, or it's not financial advice. So with that out of the way, let's just get started. So I kind of want to just jump into the gaming blog. This is a great place to start, especially if you're a beginner, because it'll have everything about Otherside that you kind of want to look at right away. So if we actually take a look here, in order to play the game at a high level, if you want to do farming, if you want to do hunting, you're going to need a farmer vessel and you're going to need a hunter vessel, right? You're going to need each one of each. So when you start the game, you're going to need to do nesting, right? So nesting will achieve basically turning them from an egg into a Mara. So which one you choose to nest first, that's up to you. So if we keep going, we can see, what's important in picking another deed is the environment, because if we take a look here, the environment tier dictates how many workers can go on your other deed, right? So if you want to play at a high level, obviously the more you may think, the higher the tier, the better, but the higher the tier, the more expensive. So if we take a look at tier 5, tier 4, there's worker capacity of 4 or 5, but if you want to fill that up all the way, you're going to need more money to buy vessels or quotas or all that stuff. So that's not the best place for like the entry level, especially if someone's just trying to get started. So with that in mind, I think that tier 2 and tier 3 are going to be more viable entry points for players that are looking to get into Otherside. So as of this video, I'm just going to try to keep everything under 1 ETH at the current filming of the creation of this video. But the reason why I don't touch on tier 1 mainly two reasons. Tier 1 is restrictive because there's only one worker. There's only one worker that can be assigned to it, which may be restrictive with regards to farming and hunting at the same time. So tier 2 and tier 3 will allow you to do those at the same time. And tier 1 will become very competitive immediately. The reason I say that is because people are likely to put max build quotas on tier 1 in order to get to the top of the leaderboard, right? So I would say that's probably not something that you're going to want to encounter if you're a beginner, and if you spend that ETH on one land, I mean, you're kind of stuck with it. Granted, you can sell it and exchange it, but I'd rather do it right from the beginning, right? So if we keep going, we can kind of see enchanters have a different capacity rules that you can assign. So we're not even going to talk about enchanters or anything like that. So if we keep scrolling down, we can see your sediment fragment is also, your sediment fragments will also play into the game. So when you purchase an other deed, or when you get one to play the game, it's going to come with a sediment type, right? And the higher the sediment tier, the more sediment fragments that your other deed will produce when you are allocating a farmer to it. So sediment 3 has the best production, while sediment 1 has the least. So a farmer, regardless of production, the native sediment will always produce the same type of fragment. So, I can't say what any of these fragments from each of these sediments will do, but just keep in mind that biogenic swamp and chemical goo sediments will come with a premium, mainly because, it's speculation, it's the market, stuff like that. But, they will be useful because when you are farming them, if we keep scrolling down, we can see that a nested vessel evolves into a Mara, which can be assigned to a vessel while you're assigned to a deed while your vessel nests. And then you have an opportunity to combine your Mara with a seasonal catalyst and a sediment fragment to evolve it into a Coda Mara. So this increases their power, basically, or I guess it makes them more capable helpers, but they're not as powerful as Codas, of course. So it's also a key part of the collector metagame. So what they look like, their trait rarity and game function are all influenced by your choices. And the ingredients, right? So this may or may not be useful. This may or may not interest you. I know it will interest me, especially because it'll impact how it looks, what it does. I mean, that seems pretty interesting. So To evolve a Mara into a Kodomara, you're going to need a Mara. So, I mean, with this guide, you will get a farmer and get a farmer and gosh, I can't remember. A farmer and a hunter, right? So, regardless of each, that you can evolve them into a Kodomara. You will need a catalyst, right? How to get a catalyst, I don't know. I highly suspect that catalyst will be drop rewards when you're fighting the Shattered, and the rarity of that will be determined based on how high you are on the leaderboard. But I'm not sure for sure. So that's just speculation on my part. But again, sediment is important because they're optional to evolve your Mara into a Kodomara. So you'll need all three. So you're farming, you're gonna get sediments. You're hunting, you're probably gonna get catalysts. It just seems logical it would be that way. So if we keep scrolling down, why battle the Shattered? So when a Shattered is defeated, it leaves behind a treasure. So the more efficiently a Shattered is defeated, the more rare and exclusive the treasure. In my mind, there are only three things, speculation, that the treasure loot box will drop, right? We can kind of see here that, you can deploy your Coda, you can deploy your vessels and Codas against this to fight the Shattered, you're going to get rewards, right? So there are three things. I highly suspect it's going to be resources. It'll either be resources from an increasing rarity, of course. Maybe it's determined on biome. But anyways, resources. Number two, catalyst, seasonal catalysts. So season 1 catalyst will be creation catalysts. That's a reference to the Legends of the Mara gaming page. It's different from the gaming blog, but I've covered that in previous videos. So basically, 1, resources. Number 2, catalysts, and number 3, if we scroll down to the very bottom here, the unearthed artifacts. So when a Shatter is defeated, Voyagers will be rewarded with treasures called unearthed artifacts. Some are consistent across all leaderboard tiers, while each tier has a limited supply, and it means that there will be exclusive rewards for Voyagers who slay Shattered expeditiously. So some of them are used to enhance Voyagers' gameplay within Legends, while others will aid the friends. And that's just kind of the end of the blog right here thus far. So with that in mind, we kind of know everything we need to, just keep going and, basically go into Blur and basically find what we need. So we'll actually just go to our marketplace here. So we're going to need two things, basically. We're going to need vessels and we're going to need another deed. We're going to need to pick vessels and we're going to need to pick another deed. So to pick out a vessel, it doesn't really matter what you choose. So long as you pick one of each, right? Pick a farmer, pick a hunter. So right here on the floor price, we can see that it's about 0.1, it's 0.159. So we can just add this to our cart. So if we just click on it, we can see it will be added to our cart. It's about, this much. So we're just trying to keep our budget under 1 ETH. So just that entry level, right? In order to access the farmers, we can just, just click on traits here and click on farmers. Anyways, if we click on the floor price, it doesn't matter which one you pick, so long as they're floor, they're all the same. Okay, maybe they're not. Some of them have like codependents, right? Yeah, some of them have Gucci codependents, but we're gonna ignore those. But here we can see we have our vessels, 0.159 and 0.23. So we have our budget here about 0.3898 thus far. So that leaves us with pretty good room to find a pretty good other deed. So we're going to go back to our watch list. So we're going to navigate to Other Deed Expanded and not the OG collection because we already chose out our vessels. So we're going to choose the other deed that we want. So we're going to go ahead and just click on Other Deed Expanded. So I outlined that this is just going to be a tier 2 build guide. So we're going to go to these traits here, and we're going to scroll down to, or scroll up basically to Environment tier. We're going to keep this at tier 2, and we're going to limit this down to tier 2 and 3. So maybe we want to keep this, maybe we want to, narrow this down a little bit more and, maybe make sediment 2 at the very least, right? So we can kind of see our traits here. We can see this is what we can buy now. We have tier 2 and 3. We have sediment tier 2 and 3. So this allows us a very wide range of, environments and, resources. So we can kind of see if we click on the first one. If we look at the first one, it only has one resource. You may not be able to see that, but that's I mean, at the very least, this is the cheapest land on the collection. I'm not saying you should get the cheapest land because, you know, you get what you pay for. Um, so if we take a look at the top traits, we can kind of see, okay, you can see the environment here. You can see the resource tier here. So it's level 1 spikeweed. And then you can also see, oh, it may have an obelisk piece. So it may have a couple of obelisk pieces. So we can see this one has the first trip. Okay, cool. And the sediment tiers too, because we filtered for that. And we can also see the sediment type, which is Cosmic Dream, right? So a nice two halves. I haven't talked about this in a video yet, but I pretty soon will. Obelisk pieces are nice to have, mainly because Yuga has specified that certain other deeds will be eligible for an airdrop if you have a certain amount of obelisk pieces. I suspect it's going to be all of them, or some threshold of obelisk pieces that I guess facilitate contributing to the game. But it is nice to have, all the obelisk pieces. We're still early in, Otherside trips, so, a lot of these have both. So, I mean, it's nice to have the first trip obelisk piece and Coda Origins obelisk piece, because, I mean, if you keep going on with getting obelisk pieces, then you'll likely get the airdrop. But anyways, that's kind of outside the scope of this project, but, this seems like the lowest tier land. Let's try to find something that has a little bit more spice, a little bit more value, right? So, I mean, this one looks pretty nice in terms of aesthetics. I personally like biolume environments a lot, so I mean, I would be inclined to getting this one personally. But I mean, if we look at this one here, this is a bogland, a bog environment. It has 3 resources. The more resources, the better. But again, you do pay for that, right? So I can't say what the value of each resource is. That's not the scope of this video. But I can say from a gameplay perspective that the more resources that you will have, the more, you have more access to crafting, more access to, I mean, maybe in the future we'll be able to buy, sell, trade these resources. So, I mean, you can kind of see it has nether, has level 2 nether resource. That's pretty high level. I mean, it's not level 3, but I mean, for 12% above the floor price, I mean, that's not bad, right? For what you want. I mean, especially if you're just getting into the game, you want to dip your toes in a bunch of things. I mean, that's a pretty good deal. I don't really know if you're going to be able to find like 3 resources at like, I don't know, what is this price? It's listed for about 0.4. So I mean, in our budget, and we're about, I mean, what is our budget right now? We're trying to keep everything under 1 ETH. We're currently at basically 0.4. So, I mean, if we look at this, I mean, it looks pretty good. It's one of the better deals on the market. That's not financial advice, but yeah, I mean, from a gameplay perspective, you have access to a lot of resources. You have a variety of resources. I mean, you have nether, moldium, luster, and one is level 2 and the rest are level 1. So I highly suspect that the level of the resource probably dictates how fast it takes to mine the resource, just like how sediment tiers work. So that makes sense. I mean, this land also has a first trip obelisk piece. It also has the Coda Origins obelisk piece, so that's nice to have. But overall, this is a really strong land at close to floor, right? So I mean, let's just go ahead, just add this to cart, and take a look at what we have thus far in terms of budget, right? So, it's relatively close to floor. It's about 0.789 or about 0.79. It's about $1,500. That's no means cheap, but again, this will do everything that this will do everything that you'll need it to at that budget tier. It's just kind of like you want to farm, and when you're farming, you will be able to farm the sediment, right? So you'll be able to use that the sediment fragments to evolve your Maras further. And then once you're done, farming sediment fragments, you can go ahead and just farm the other materials that are on this resource, that are on this other deed. So, I mean, in the future, if there's crafting, in the future, if there's, when there is crafting, there will be crafting, and the resources are explicitly used for that purpose. I mean, you will have access if you have lands with more resources. So again, keep that, do your own research and keep that in mind. So again, seems like a pretty good land to me. I just kind of added it to the cart here, but yeah, I mean, that's just kind of the overview that I have with regards to picking something under, picking that budget under 1 ETH. Use your filters expeditiously. Look for the environment tier that you can play at with the budget that you have. Do your research with sediment tiers too. I mean, the higher the sediment tier, the faster, obviously. Pick a land that you like aesthetically. That's definitely something that you will want to incorporate, especially, since it's not necessarily cheap to play the game. So, I mean, you might want something that looks nice, right? So there's a variety of things you can choose. I mean, they're all relatively close in price. I mean, for a little bit more, you could probably get a mycelium land, or maybe I'm just gonna say this is a Pokemon land. But you could also opt for a sediment tier. But again, with this mallow land, I mean, you're not getting resources, so you are getting what you pay for. So do keep that in mind. And again, bigger may not be better, because you'll have to fill it up more. But again, I mean, if you do want to eventually expand to a bigger playstyle, then by all means pick more worker slots. But again, you can kind of see how everything goes up in price. So I'm just trying to keep things relatively budget, relatively value, relatively easy, and we're just trying to get started with the game. So again, I hope you liked what you saw in this video. If you found anything, if you learned anything in this video, if you found anything interesting or intriguing, definitely like and subscribe. It helps me make more content. But that's kind of all I got for you today. We'll keep this open here. With our cart here, oh man, our cart here, it's like points. It's like 3/4 of an ETH, right? Just to get started. So I mean, again, definitely like and subscribe. I already said that once, but I'll be in the Discords. You know where to find me. But otherwise, I'm signing off. Thanks for watching this far, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.